Hi guys, my name is Dante, and welcome back to Overpain. I thought we'd do a few, it's been a while. And so today's patient is K. Michael Russell. Hello Michael. Hi Dante, I've recently started practicing digital painting. I work primarily as a comic book colorist, so it's been a challenge getting away from the safety of lines. I'd love to hear your feedback. I really enjoy your channel, keep up the awesome work, I'm learning a lot. Well, thank you, I'll keep trying. Edit, I updated this post with a different piece, but you may have recorded the old one already, so feel free to ignore this one if you did. No, I didn't. You had this post, and I failed to do it in time, so we're doing it now. The post of September 2017. It's 13 months old. Let's do it. So here we go, this is the piece, and I gotta say I like it a lot. I like the colors and generally the composition is alright. Maybe we'll zoom out a little bit. And one thing I really wanna start with is actually something I was doodling around already today, is actually making the contrast of lighting more not realistic, but like showing the actual proper ambience of the campfire, bonfire thing, and so it would look a bit more like the night, because right here everything is flooded with the light so much, like there's a little lack of the actual contrast of lighting. Maybe it has to do with the fact that Michael mostly works with coloring the line art. Therefore, you don't really have to deal a lot with the fact that one object should definitely have a different brightness than the object behind it, so it would look satisfyingly appropriate, and everything kind of has an overall pleasing normal brightness of the surfaces. And here, when we drop the lines, we really need to make sure that the shadows are actual shadows, because there are no black lines anymore that would help us tell the objects apart. And so the main thing I really want to fix, aside from maybe zooming out a bit and repositioning things just a little bit, is to make sure that the trees will be much darker and to play around with the contrast of the air perspective and just the air being lit with the moonlight behind the trees right here. So they will have a really cool dark silhouettes of the trees in the night, you know, it will look really cool. Will bring more atmosphere and will actually look like the thing is going on during the nighttime. So let's start with that, and then I'll tell the rest of my thoughts in a few seconds of time lapse. Alright, doing some progress. Not there yet, but yeah, one thing led to another, and we have the whole picture very different. So as I said, the main thing I'm doing right now is I'm fixing the lighting pretty much. All of the tree trunks in the scene are mostly really far away from the bonfire, so they have no reason to be so bright. Right now, as I'm looking at the older version, the trunk next to the monster's face looks almost like it's glowing, like it's really, really bright for no reason at all. It doesn't look like a lighting that's coming from the bonfire. It's way too far away. It's facing away a little bit, so it's definitely going much darker than that. Maybe a slight hint of brown would be justified over here, just like a fraction of what we have on the closer trunk, but only over here at the bottom. And it's not just about whether you want to go very realistic or not, whether you care that much about the lighting. It's just about the atmosphere. Right now, the whole setup is the bonfire in the woods, and there's a very atmospheric moonlight and everything, so let's use it. Let's make things atmospheric with actually doing the bonfire and the moon. So yeah, that's what we're doing, hopefully. So we definitely should work much more on the monster. Right now that guy is not exactly awesome, but generally I just went through everything and made sure that the brightness of the objects is faithful to the distance from the light source and the angle to the light source. All of this stuff can't be that bright, so we're toning it down. And now the fire actually looks bright. Now the outfit of the traveler looks actually bright, like maybe not white, but at least bright yellow. Before that, the trunk that he's sitting on is almost as bright as the white cloth on his knees, which really breaks the logic of things. And this is one of those mistakes that I've been talking about before, and something that I've been doing a lot before, that when you're trying to make a really bright lighting on the bright object and the dark object, you end up having both of these objects look equally bright, so the dark object doesn't look dark anymore, when it shouldn't actually happen. Dark object should always look darker than the bright object, even when both of them are brightly lit. So yeah, I made sure that the dark tree trunk that the guy is sitting on is actually dark brown, as it should be. So yeah, there's much more of that kind of stuff to do in smaller details, like on the arms of the guy. I should also make sure that the back of his palm is dark, because there is zero chance that the bonfire light would reach that area, and immediately it looks much more there, as you can see. I mean, of course, it's very noticeable that Michael was really into the whole idea of reflected lighting and the rich colors that coming from that. As we can see inside of this whole of the tree trunk, we have really rich, saturated colors, but the problem with them is that they're way too strong. Reflected light is always at least 3 times darker than the main light. So if this area is this bright, in here things should go much darker. Yes, there will be saturated colors. Yes, they will look kind of interesting, but much darker. And without that, it kind of doesn't really feel like it's a shadow. It's kind of a dent, but not really. In here, the shadow from the leg. Yeah, we can talk a lot about how the reflected light is bouncing around a lot in there and everything, but it's still a shadow, and in here it's too bright. It kind of looks like the leg is translucent a bit. So yeah, I'm fixing that kind of stuff, and so when we zoom out, we can actually see the atmospheric nighttime, which is really cool, and it makes the picture look much more interesting, even though we gave up a lot of details by drowning them in black. We won't see most of the trunks, we will only see their silhouettes. We won't see all that much of the monster, it will also be mostly a silhouette. So yeah, that's the main thing that I kind of solved already, at least on the bigger scale. And one more thing that I want to mention now is the rim light from the moon. On both characters and this tree trunk as well, like this stuff. It's looking cool, it kind of works, but it can be much better, and this is the kind of stuff that many beginners or people that mostly work with line art, as Michael is or was a year ago. The problem with the fact that rim light turns into an actual outline, like you're just drawing an outline of the character. Like, if this would be actually not a 3-dimensional monster, and this would be an actual cardboard cutout, would the rim light look different? It would look exactly like that. Like a tiny line that's always the same width everywhere. That's a good sign that you're not doing the right rim light. What I'm trying to say is, we should, for instance, think about that this top of the head of the monster is actually a round object like that, right? And because of that, maybe this rim light won't stay a line, and it would actually show some depth here, some actual shape that is not as flat as a cardboard would be, and ears as well, like they're round. So immediately you see how it looks like an actual 3-dimensional, richly rendered object. Much better. Any kind of body, if it's not a robot, it's usually kind of roundish, so you'll have a lot of gradients going on. Now, it would make sense to actually completely remove the outline in here. Like, this side of the shoulder doesn't face the moonlight at all, it's probably hidden away. But in this particular case, we can justify that by the fact that the monster is covered with fur. In here, if we would enhance, CSI style, we would see that this tiny line of the rim light is actually a lot of individual hairs sticking out far enough to actually catch the moonlight, even if the main surface of the shoulder is not really facing the moonlight. So hairy objects like that tend to have a much more of a consistent outline when the rim light is going on. So yeah, but on the guy, we should probably drop some of that stuff in some areas, like maybe in here it would at least be dimmer. People also have some hair on their outline, so it will catch some stuff, but not that much. So yeah, these are my thoughts on the rim light. Let's continue. Remove the rim light over here from this arm, just so we actually feel the presence of this tree trunk next to this arm, so it's casting a shadow from the moon. Really feel like it makes things much more considerate of each other in three-dimensional space. Same as the shadow over here from the trunk, in here from the forearm, and this is the soft shadow from this tree. Nice big shadow over here also makes things work. And we'll probably also add a much stronger shadow over here from this stuff. So it should be repeating the shape or something, but softly. Now this bonfire is really huge, like there's a hole in a gas pipe. So let's maybe tone it down a bit and add an actual shape to it, because in the original it's just like a fluffy something, like it doesn't have an actual distinguishable shape of flames. So let's do that. Done! Here's the latest progress we had. Mostly on the mage. I figured out he's a mage and he's reaching for his magic stick to fight the demon. So mostly on the mage and on the fire and the foliage. Went all over the place and just took advantage of the fact that we can just add a bunch of dark spots and have a very detailed look of the leaves everywhere. So that's what we have now. I think it looks pretty cool. It adds a lot of cheap and impressive detail. So yeah, I think the lighting really improved this picture. I really didn't want to change anything else. Generally, the picture is just fine. I love the way the demon is, generally. He is kind of goofy, but I guess that's the point. If we would make this monster... Why am I saying demon? It's a monster. If we would make him not smiling and without this goofy kind of nose thing, the picture would have a very different tone to it. Like it would be actually a horror picture. And I think that's not the point of this. So it's good that the monster looks just like this. We already did quite a lot of movements towards making him scarier with the lighting. So smiling face is a good place to stop. So yeah, this is the original. As you can see, just adding realistic darkness of the night makes the whole picture really come alive a lot. At least I hope so. Tell me guys what you think. The new rendering on the guy and the new fire really look impressive. I also removed the very bright, kind of like almost metallic highlights from his red scarfy thing. So now, as you can see, it's an actual red cloth without some weird bright yellow spots on it. Of course, we also zoomed out, and I think it kind of made the picture a bit more like a picture, you know, especially with the area where the mage and the fire is. it's really falling out of the picture in the original, so we kind of added a little bit space and kind of like holding it with the dark leaves under the bonfire to make things just work better. We could actually even move the mage part, like this thing could be like over here, and it may even get better in the end, but not sure and wasn't really necessary. I think this way it works out pretty well. So yeah, this is it. Thank you, Michael, for your submission. This was really cool. I hope it's still helpful a year later. As always, it's never a bad idea to improve your lighting at any stage of your progress. If any of you guys want your artwork to be overpainted by me like this, the link to my Patreon page is in the end of this video. And I thank you for watching if you did. I guess I did if you're here. Leave a like and subscribe. Tell a friend. Stay cool. Do whatever you want. And I will see you in the next one. Bye. Alright, all the normies went away. Let me share some nerdy stuff with you now. Check out my new non-glossy film on the iPad. Lets you see a lot less from this angle because of the reflection, but painting on it is really awesome. First of all, I don't see my own face in the reflection all the time. And secondly, it increases the moving friction and removes the static friction. So it's overall just much better experience. Recommending.